The Korean War, a big fight that covered the whole Korean peninsula and pulled in countries from all over the world, lasted from June 25, 1950 to July 27, 1953. In this war, North Korea, with help from China and the Soviet Union, fought against South Korea. South Korea had the support of the United Nations, mostly from the United States. The trouble started after World War II. Korea, which had been ruled by Japan, was split in two at the 38th parallel. North of this line, a communist government led by Kim Il-sung took power. South of the line, a government supported by the US, led by Syngman Rhee, was formed. This split, which was supposed to be temporary, ended up creating two separate countries with very different beliefs. Small fights along the border and arguments about their different beliefs made things worse, like a pile of dry leaves just waiting for a spark. Things got even worse because of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both of these powerful countries saw Korea as a very important place in their fight to be the strongest. The Soviets secretly helped North Korea, and the US promised to protect South Korea. This set the stage for a fight where these two big countries used Korea to battle each other. By 1950, both North and South Korea had lots of weapons and hated each other's ideas. It was clear a big fight was about to start. The shaky peace was broken on June 25, 1950, when North Korea suddenly attacked South Korea. This surprise attack started the Korean War. The North Korean army, with tanks and big guns from the Soviet Union, quickly attacked southward, catching the South Korean army by surprise. Seoul, the capital of South Korea, was taken by the communists in just a few weeks. This shocked everyone around the world. The United Nations, led by the US, said the invasion was wrong and quickly decided to send soldiers to help. The US saw this fight as a very important test of its plan to stop the spread of communism, so it sent a lot of soldiers to Korea. These soldiers, mostly from the US, fought under the United Nations flag. This changed everything in the war. A very important moment was the surprise attack at Incheon, a city on the coast of Korea. This attack, planned by General Douglas MacArthur, tricked the North Koreans, cut off their supplies, and made them run away. The UN forces took back Seoul and then pushed north, crossing the 38th parallel into North Korea. The UN kept attacking, hoping to make all of Korea one democratic country. By October 1950, UN troops had reached the Yalu River, the border between North Korea and China. Getting this close to China made China very worried, and they decided to join the fight, changing the war again. When the UN troops got close to China, the Chinese government got scared. They worried the UN might attack them, so in October 1950, China sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers to help North Korea. This huge number of Chinese soldiers surprised the UN forces. The Chinese army used surprise attacks and sent waves of soldiers pushing the UN forces back from the Yalu River. The war became a brutal back-and-forth fight, with big battles like the Battle of Chosin Reservoir. This terrible winter fight showed how tough and determined both sides were. By spring of 1951, the fighting stopped near the 38th parallel, and the war became a tie. Even with powerful weapons from the US and its allies, the communist forces, helped by China and using tricky tactics, were hard to defeat. The war became a bloody stalemate, with soldiers fighting from trenches and shooting artillery back and forth, just like in World War I. Peace talks started in July 1951. But they went on for 2 years because the two sides couldn't agree on what to do with prisoners and what would happen to Korea. While the talks continued, the fighting went on too, and many soldiers died. The war had already killed many people and the number kept growing. After 2 years of difficult talks and fighting, a truce was finally signed on July 27, 1953. The truce stopped the fighting and created the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, a space between North and South Korea where no soldiers are allowed. The DMZ is still one of the most protected borders in the world. The Korean War, even though it officially ended with a truce, changed Korea and the world forever. Millions of people, soldiers and civilians died in the war, and Korea remained divided. North Korea, under Kim Il-sung and his successors, became a closed-off, strict country with a powerful army. South Korea, on the other hand, became much richer and more democratic after the war, becoming a very important country in Asia. The war also made the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union much worse, changing global politics for many years. The Korean War, sometimes called the Forgotten War, reminds us of the terrible cost of fighting over different beliefs and the long-lasting problems caused by unresolved divisions. Even though the fighting stopped, Korea is still divided, a lasting reminder of a war that continues to shape the region's politics.